Hey, this is Jim McDonald. Welcome to episode 121 of Mark Bell's PowerCast. This episode is Ben Alderman and Blair Morrison. They are both local CrossFitters and CrossFit gym owners and family guys, and they actually have a podcast called Beyond the Barbell where they talk about all that. So we brought them on this week. Since they're not having an episode this week, we're having them on this week to talk about all of those things and a lot more, including steroids and CrossFit. I know we just had Jason Khalipa on last week, but honestly, we don't record in this order, and this just happens to be the order that the episodes are coming out in. So we haven't gone CrossFit or anything like that, so don't become concerned. Anyway, I think you'll like it. Their show is not really that much different than ours in a lot of ways. They just tell a lot fewer poop stories than we do, I think. Our sponsors for this episode, howmuchyoubench.net, thepowermagazine.com, cavemancoffeeco.com, 8Man Strong at 8manstrong.com, Compex USA at shopcompex.com, and Rogue Fitness at thepowercast.com/rogue. And it's Thanksgiving week, obviously, Black Friday. If you check out the websites of our sponsors, I'm sure that they all have great stuff going on. And a good way to support us is to check out our sponsors. And if you can, tell them, hey, I heard about you on Mark Bell's PowerCast. Enjoy this episode. Like, subscribe, share, all of those things that we enjoy. And now, without further ado, here's episode 121 of the PowerCast.
Recorded live at Super Training Gym in West Sacramento, California, this is Mark Bell's PowerCast. Alongside Silent Mike and Jim McD, here's your host, Mark Bell.
But anyway.
So I have a fact here online. We're here with two
factoid?
Very fit men. And I know you guys sometimes do workouts where it's like 20 calories on the rower or maybe a spin bike or maybe what's that fucking air assault bike or something. But you go by calories sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Airdyne.
Right? Yeah, Airdyne. Is it Airdyne? Whatever.
Assault bike, whatever.
Yeah, it shows you last time I did cardio. So you do like the Airdyne, but it's like 20 calories and then you can move on to something else, right? Well, what I found out on the internet today is that one fart can approximately burn 67 calories.
Wow.
So what if you're
Is it
you're
a
rowing,
release of energy or is it actually
you're rowing
burning?
and then you fart?
Just hop off and you're done.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, 10 farts for...
How long is the fart?
It doesn't say, but it says
That's a good
farting 52
Were you a
times in
math
one day
major by
can burn
chance?
1 pound of fat. 52 farts, 1 pound of fat.
Wow.
Like
Who
in vapor-
documented
like in-
this stuff?
Now I wonder why I have a hard time gaining weight.
It was on Google. Google told us. And then our friend C.T. Fletcher chimed in. What did he say?
67 calories.
I don't know
CT
about
said...
to produce a fart or just to like let one go?
I think it's to let one go. CT said true that he farted and lost 6 pounds one time instantly, but he had to throw away his underwear.
Wow. Wow. Oh, so maybe...
I think
That's
he
CT
said-
Fletcher, the legend, told us
Yeah.
I
something.
think he said draws.
Draws.
Yeah, he did say draws. He's from Arkansas.
he had withdrawals.
Yeah, withdrawals of the draws.
He's been training for a long time, so I'm not going to...
Well, I just don't know why you're so fat still, Smelly.
I know. I've been farting left and right.
You think you'd be slim.
I'm
know,
just
I-
curious, like how much effort people are putting into letting these farts go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's another good
I think
point.
a butthole diameter would play a role.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
True. Right?
Yeah.
If it's like kind of tight, you really got to work
More
hard.
pressure.
And you're bearing down.
And how long do you have to work to get it all the way out?
Yeah.
Like if
And
you feel a fart way up in your belly.
I would argue that during exercise, it would almost be effortless.
Yeah, squats.
So maybe there wouldn't be as many calories burned. Yeah, squats
Maybe-
just kind of force it out of you.
Maybe squats are the king of exercise for that reason.
It'd be tougher on the air assault bike because the seat is kind of like,
A butt plug?
yeah, it's rough.
Wow.
Yeah. So on the rower, you'd be fine, but
Excellent.
the air assault bike.
Abdominal cramping, hop on the assault bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what about toes to bar and all that stuff? Is that fart friendly or not?
No,
No.
not fart friendly.
No, toes to
Tucks
bar
it back
seems-
in.
Yeah.
Seems dangerous.
Opposite.
Plus, you're passing through the movement so quickly that
Passing.
You
No.
guys move around a lot. Any poop accidents or anything interesting happen?
Yeah, mid-wad.
Any
Only
sort of
when I'm here
blowouts?
training with you guys.
Any
lot of-
blowouts? Short blowouts? Pants blowouts? Clothes blowouts?
I mean, girls lose a lot of urine.
Yeah. That happens in
yeah, the
powerlifting.
double unders and stuff like that.
Yeah, Miranda peed on the floor in my gym before.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But sometimes your guys' workouts can last like half an hour. Maybe that's just the games. Maybe I'm uneducated, but they could last like half an hour, right? Like a chipper or something that's super long. Am I way wrong? Am I semi-right?
Well, we do other things like run too. So
Yeah,
Blair
something
run a
long.
5K in like 18 minutes, and I'll do it in like 32.
Yeah, but what if
So,
you got a shit mid 5K?
I
have
run
an
a little
interesting
faster.
story about that.
Oh, here we go. We got something.
Yeah, so it's really not an issue if you're doing like a 5K at your gym, because usually you can just stop and go to the bathroom. But if you're out, say, you're doing a trail run, which I know Mark does a lot of,
Yeah.
there's not many bathrooms
mix.
around. So I've had the
No homo.
situation arise where I'm out, like I'm doing like a there and back type thing on the trail, and I'm pretty much almost all the way there and pretty far from getting back. And, you know, like I think I had some lentil soup like for lunch.
Great running food.
Two things that Mark doesn't know anything about: trail running and lentil soup.
Yeah.
And I stopped eating lentil soup after that because there's literally nothing I could do to keep it in.
Yeah.
I had to stop, find a broadleaf plant, and just
And you finished, well, I guess you had to finish the run.
yeah.
There was no options.
ran it back, and I mean
You're kind of out in the wild often, though, so you're probably used to that by now. Just
I didn't-
popping a squat wherever you need to, right?
I'll tell you this much, man. If you're out there, you don't think twice about it.
Something's got to happen.
It's CrossFit anywhere. It could possibly be cross shit anywhere.
or everywhere, as the case
It
may
ends
be.
up having a
Right.
different experience every time, right?
It's a lot better out than
Then
your
in.
pants.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, do you throw away the underwear at that point when you get back, or do you wash them? I mean,
Well,
Are
it
you-
depends if it got on the underwear.
yeah.
I just think that's just,
There's
too much.
It's gone.
They're gone.
What
yeah.
about deep
It
cheeks?
depends on how much you pay for it, though. I mean, 15, 20
Yeah.
bucks for a pair of underwear, you're going to rinse those things
Economics
out.
is going to play into this.
I only buy underwear at like Ross. You get like 50 of them for
For that
$5.
exact reason,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You never know what may happen.
No, if
sumo
you-
deadlift day? And
Yeah.
toss
Dude, if
them.
you crap your
blowout.
pants, you throw them away. Like, that's it.
No option.
Yeah.
No, if you crap your pants, you throw them away.
Well, that's why your washer
college
has the
graduate, I'm not
sanitary.
gonna
Take his
argue
word.
with the
Yeah,
guy.
Ivy
This-
League.
That's why your washer has the sanitation setting on it. It goes like 3 hours and just it gets all
It's
that
a poop
shit
cleaner?
out, literally. Yeah, yeah.
This man has Ivy League
Diapers
schooling.
and-
I'm not going to argue with him. on
Yeah, I
that.
agree. That's why he's in the middle
You go to
here.
Yale
He's
or
the head of the
something like
table.
That's
mean-
somewhere fancy, didn't
Me?
he? Yeah.
Princeton.
Princeton.
Yeah.
I was worried I overpaid for my education at Sac State.
I mean, you might have.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
They just selected you, though, right? Because you're so handsome?
Yeah, I got a sexy scholarship.
Yeah. They're like, look at this guy. Good-looking son of a bitch.
Great hair.
Don't have to pay at all.
Yeah.
Did you hate it as much as Tim Ferriss did?
Who, Princeton?
Princeton, yeah, he hated Princeton.
No, I mean, I loved Princeton. I thought it was obviously like you go to college.
It was maybe too easy, but other than that.
wherever you go, you're gonna have a good time. But I thought Princeton, the way they keep it kind of the way it used to look, so you feel like when you're walking on campus, you're walking into like 200 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Like Harry Potter's
cool.
Right.
school.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So I loved
Dumbledore
it. I
greets
loved
you
it.
at the
Castles and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of castles. Everything's like stone.
Where's
and
Princeton?
Everyone
Gothic.
speaks with a British accent, even though it's here.
Wizardry 101.
I majored in wizardry. It's in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And what they did, the university is pretty smart. They own like all the land around the university, even that's not like with dorms and everything on it. So you get off the freeway or Route 1, whatever it is, and you drive through like this empty pasture, and then all of a sudden you hit the university. So it's almost like it's buffered from all the crappy New Jersey stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's not a whole lot around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the 5 major cities that are around Princeton are Trenton, Newark, New Brunswick,
I see.
Camden.
Yeah.
And
Pretty rough areas, actually.
Dude, they're like the highest crime rates in the
Yeah.
East Coast. It's
Yeah.
horrible. But
Yeah.
Princeton is like this country club there. So
Yeah, it's on the outskirts a little bit.
yeah.
What do you guys got planned for the holidays? Anything big coming up for either one of you guys? You got something festive, something cool coming up, or just
Dude,
kinda
I don't
hanging
know
back?
how everybody does it, because people say they drive like 4 hours to go to a
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, then 4 hours home. I heard that story like 2 days ago, and I'm like, how do you do it? I looked at my schedule. I've got Thanksgiving on Thursday, a Thanksgiving on Friday, and a Thanksgiving on Saturday.
Right.
And one of my buddies texts me, he's like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm like, what? I've got 4 kids. I mean, that doesn't sound cool to me at all. That's like, I'm not going to sleep. People are like, going to have any drinks? Nope, no drinks. I'm just going to, I don't know, survive somehow.
Is that just different families, like your family, then in-law family, stuff like that?
Yeah, it's, I don't
Everywhere.
know. It's the wife's family. It's my family. It's some people who are close to me, family, friends at the
Yeah.
gym, you know, and it's just obligation after obligation
Yeah.
sometimes.
Just brings on more stress rather than more
Sometimes
fun.
it does. Sometimes it does. I'm not going to lie.
Then you're like, oh, shit, it's Thanksgiving. I got to start buying presents for people because Christmas is coming up.
Yeah, my wife's like, where are you going? I'm going for a trail run. She's like, you never trail run. I'm like, that's how excited
She knows
fishing.
something's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys do
Just had some lentils and I need to go take a shit.
Right? Work it loose.
do you guys do any like family? Like we play a family football game every year for Thanksgiving with our cousins and everything.
I used to do that in New York, but we don't do that out here. We do some other shit. We do like a survivor challenge, which ends up being pretty cool.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah. We try to do stuff that like just can involve anybody rather than have it be like overly challenging, like phically or mentally or whatever.
Like egg tosses.
Got
stuff
kids,
you said,
got kids involved and everything. Yeah, so
Don't want it to be mentally challenging.
yeah. Don't want anybody to hurt their
Mark
brain.
would always win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we do all kinds of stuff, but it's a lot of fun.
I heard you won the sprint last year. I think Andy told me.
Yeah, well, against Jake. Remember?
There you go.
Yeah.
Mark the runner.
You saw me smoke Jake on
Yeah.
the beach. My son.
Your son?
Kicked his ass.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But soon I'm going to have to start elbowing him in the face
trip.
or something just to try to beat him.
How old is he?
He's 11.
And you beat him last year when he was 10?
Well, I beat him this year, too.
like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
He's probably getting faster though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be able to kill me any second now. In everything. Yeah, I don't have much of a chance. How about you? What you got going on? Anything?
Yeah. So this year is the first year that I'm not going to be hosting part of Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah?
So my mom's idea this year is to have.
Do you cook?
Oh no, I'm not gonna.
You're like, no, I'm staying the hell out of the kitchen.
No, so I'm not actually hosting the main meal, but like she's doing a progressive Thanksgiving where we start at my sister's house for hors d'oeuvres and whatever. Then we play a football game, go to my parents' house for like the full meal.
Right.
Is progressive the right term there? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm thinking like transgenders are coming over, and like, I don't really understand.
Well, it's basically think about it like a pub crawl.
Okay.
But you all live
Thanksgiving
pretty close to each other?
Right. We all live in like Folsom, Sacramento area. But then all of our relatives from the Bay Area are coming up and joining. So it's going to be, 25 people or so that are going to be. I don't think anybody's making it to my house. I'm like the final stop.
You're the dessert?
The dessert station. I'm expecting kind of / hoping that everybody's passed out by then.
Does the football game get a little too serious sometimes?
Last year got a little bit serious. Like people were tying the flags around their waist.
I
like wedding crashers?
Yeah. It's like, it was more like Meet the Parents. Like, gotta spike that fucker. And people were stiff arming and I don't know.
Shit just getting out of control.
Well, I feel like there's like a big like selection of grandchildren that are getting to the age where they can actually run and move and do stuff. And then, like, their parents aren't quite ready to relinquish dominance yet.
Yeah.
It's like Mark and his son. Like, if
That's right. Yep.
he tries to come up and tackle you, you're not going to let it happen.
Nope. Right. Yeah, not yet anyway.
Put him on his back.
But he'll be taller than me probably by next year, too, so I'll have to relinquish everything.
Just the bench press. That's all you'll have.
For now.
So both of you guys have a CrossFit facility. You got CrossFit Anywhere, and you got Iron Mile. Tell us a little bit about your place, Blair. Tell us about what CrossFit Anywhere means.
So I have right now 2 gyms up in like the Folsom and Roseville area, like outskirts of Sacramento. And the CrossFit Anywhere idea was originally built because I didn't have a gym and I wanted to still do all these workouts CrossFit style. And
Just open up gym because you wanted to be rich.
Right. Yeah. Total backfire. So like the idea is that we should be able to do all these different fitness movements without equipment. So if I don't have a barbell or Olympic weights, like doesn't mean I can't work out.
Right.
So that's how it started. And then so I try to gear my programming for the gym a little bit towards that while still,
Not making it too complicated.
right, and accepting the fact that a barbell is the best way to get strong. Like you don't need to do everything so creatively that we eliminate the best methods.
Doing preacher curls with logs and stuff.
Oh, we program so many preacher curls.
Oh, that's not involved with
just
you guys?
a staple of what I do.
Yeah, you guys doing a lot of
You can
those,
tell
yeah.
by my arms. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's huge. So we have that, and we do a lot of stuff. And in the summertime, it makes it easier to do that because we have the lake nearby, and we can go out and do open water swimming and do running on the hills and carries and stuff like that, which is I think it's a lot of fun. And
Nobody gets really any more fit though, so it's no pressure at all.
That's the thing is you keep everybody the same.
Right. Yeah. It works, man. People get better, and I don't know. It's nice. It's a little bit of a separator for our gym within the CrossFit community. We do things just a little, not way different, but just a little
Progressive.
bit different. Yeah, it's
You
progressive.
just always like to do stuff outside, basically.
I like being outside.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And you made the 2011 CrossFit Games. I think you finished 7th place or something like that, right?
I was 7th in 2009.
Oh, 2009.
And then I was 5th in 2011.
Cool. What was that like?
Being 5th?
Yeah. I mean, what's it like going to the CrossFit Games and, placing pretty damn high?
Yeah, I felt like a
But
badass.
still being the 4th loser.
I felt pretty good about it. I was not expecting to do that great because I think I finished 3rd in my region that year. And then the games were more my style of workouts. It was we had to do an ocean swim. We were running on the sand. We had to do like object carries and a whole bunch of crazy stuff that they do at the games that they don't do in open or regionals. So it suited me a lot better than the earlier qualifying rounds. And I ended up taking 5th. And they decided to change the rule after that year that the top 5 didn't automatically get to go back the next year.
Okay.
So it kind of pulled the rug out on me.
Right.
It's a little disappointed there.
The competition just keeps getting harder and harder. Do you think you have a chance to? Is that a goal of yours still to place well individually?
Honestly, no. Like I've been to regionals now. I mean, every year that they've had them. So I think it's like 7 or 8 years in a row. And I've still been able to qualify as an individual, but I can see that the sport has passed me by as an individual at this
You're one
point.
of the few guys I've ever worked with that does a good job of trying to keep a realistic approach to the whole thing and not getting too caught up with, oh, shit, I got to make it to the games, and this has to happen, that has to happen. I even remember you kind of telling me, like, my training's in line to just sit me wherever it sits me. Like, it's just I train, and then the training as a result gets me to here, and I can't really control much else of what everybody else is doing and what talents they might have.
Right. Yeah, I believe that. So, I mean, I've always...
That's hard to do, though. That's a really difficult thing to kind of sit back and be like, all right, well, that guy's better than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's not the way it used to be because right now, the way CrossFit has progressed as a sport is you've really seen people start to peak at the strength events. Like guys are qualifying for the American Open and Olympic lifting, and I'm just not built to do that. I can be strong for my size and do the best that I can, but I'm never going to be able to compete.
Yeah, there's people competing on the world level, I believe, now.
And
insane.
That sport has just passed me by in that respect. I'm still very competitive when it comes to the endurance things and the some of the gymnastic skills. I'm competitive, but overall, like as an athlete, like I just can't keep up with a lot of the other things that the sport has gone into with strength and lifting. And that's okay. Like I said, I don't want to risk like injuring myself for the rest of my life or, wearing myself so thin that I can't do other things.
You want to enjoy it too.
Yeah, and I want to have fun training.
That's a big part of it, right?
For some people that don't know, CrossFit works kind of this way, the competition. Correct me if I say something fucked up.
Yeah.
Whether you like CrossFit or not, it's fucking competitive as shit. The hundreds of thousands of people apply online and they do workouts, right? Videotape.
The most genius thing that happened in fitness, period.
Maybe in any sport. Videotape, there has to be like a clock, so you can't Photoshop this and that, right? A couple rules, but you do a bunch of workouts. If you do good in those, then you go to do well in those. I know there's a Princeton grad here. If you do well in those, you end up at regionals.
It's called the CrossFit Open.
Correct.
Right, that's called the Open. Mm-hmm. Then from there, they split up our nation and actually the world into different regions, correct? Hopefully by population, but obviously things are more dense here and there. And then top 50 go to region for guy and girl?
Now it's top 20.
Okay, so now it's top 20 because now they combined California and all this. So you got more people entered online this year than ever, and they made it even more narrower for
was
regionals.
It like 200,000 people or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so out of 200,000 people total, they winnow it down to like 400.
Right, around the world.
400 women around the world.
All right. So then from there, you have to be top 3 in your region?
Five.
Top 5 from your region go to the games, and then there's about 50 or so that go head-to-head.
Total.
Yeah. Wild. I don't care what sport it is, if it's freaking brooming or like vacuuming or some shit. Like that's a lot of people competing in a lot of shit.
Yeah, and then they also have the team competition where you have a similar number of teams. Like if you don't qualify as an individual, then maybe your team as a collection of 3 men, 3 women will also go to a regional and compete against other teams, and they take the top 5 teams, and they end up getting like 50 teams at the end as well.
What I really like about the model that they made is that it can find somebody from anywhere. Rich Froning's in Cooksville, Tennessee. Who the hell ever knew where that place was? And they found the fittest guy in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really cool that they're able to do that with the system that they put in place. Well, very neat.
That system is kind of what has pushed Blair to maybe the fringes in a sense, because you can't really test some of the things that Blair's talking about in the open and by like videotape. Right?
Yeah.
You can't have them go swim in the ocean and have everybody submit an ocean swim. Right? So basically
his
what's
poop
happened.
during his trail run might be inappropriate
Right.
to even
Yeah,
So what's
throw on
happened-
ESPN.
videotape.
Yeah, it's moved away from finesse, right? Which
Right.
Blair has a lot more finesse in a lot of things he does, a lot more technique, and towards like a workhorse type
Right.
model, right? And that's what's made room for athletes more like myself and who are better than me, kind of move
So
into
to the
that.
competition itself, there's a little bit of convenience factored in there for either ESPN or for wherever they're competing or for whatever you're competing for.
Because I don't think Blair would do bad at the games if he went straight to the games. I actually don't think he would do bad there. I don't think he would necessarily place 5th or 9th again, but I don't think he'd be dead last because of his
I think
skill
he'd be
set.
first.
Right.
I got
because
faith
of his
in you,
skill
buddy.
set in swimming, because of
Yeah.
his skill set in some of these other random things.
Yeah, they
I think
don't-
you do really, really well.
You don't swim on the open.
No.
Because not
And
everyone
you
has a
don't swim at
GoPro.
regionals either,
yeah,
right?
and then each thing's a little different. Yeah, and each year it kind of evolves, right? Like there's no standard. Like strongman, I think there's 30 exercises, and any 10 of those could be put in place at that thing. So you kind of have to be ready for them. Maybe they know ahead of time, maybe they don't. But you guys, there could be anything.
Right. But I mean, there is like what Ben's saying is that there are some things are not going to be there. Like you're not going to swim, you're not going to run, you're not going to do something that's like an hour long, like a super long endurance race. Like those things aren't going to get tested until the games because it's not logistically possible and they can't replicate it in every corner of Cooksville or Russia or wherever they want to be.
So that
around
may
the
be a
world.
flaw. It may not be. It's just how it is.
Right.
It's just how it is, and it's a disadvantage, like Ben's saying, for athletes like me, who that's our strength. But it is also making it better for the sport in general, because it's more inclusive. And they say, okay, well, if you're the fittest guy, you should be able to make it through that qualification process and once you're at the end, now it's in your wheelhouse. And that's basically what it has been for me is like, okay, every year I qualified for the games, which was 3 years, I did better at the games than I was projected to do because the programming now suited me.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But now I'm not good enough to make it through the qualification process in order to now reap those benefits anymore. And that's just the way the sport has progressed. Guys are just really fucking good.
Tell us about Iron Mile.
Nothing to say, really. No, I'm just kidding. So
Doors are closed. Shutting it down.
So Iron Mile is more of like it's in the same way Blair is referring to anywhere. It's like his mindset.
Right.
Iron Mile is kind of a mindset. So my first year I went to regionals. I had qualified, I think, in the 40s, 48 or something like that, to get there. And then I got there and I actually placed top 10. I was really surprised. It was on the first day, I think I was in 3rd or 4th. And, I didn't really understand what regional competition looked like.
Right.
And I thought maybe I was going to the games on my first.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be around it and see like you're right there with like Jason Khalipa and some of these just ultra mega stars in the CrossFit community. It's pretty neat to watch.
And in that year, Blair Morrison,
Yeah, right.
like Neil Maddox, Gabe Zuberi, some of those guys. And after the second day, I think I had dropped to 7th and then fallen to 9th that final day. And I ended up losing to Garrett Fisher for the 8th place spot by 1 burpee. So everybody who beat me, though, has been to the games.
Burpees.
Right.
Everybody who's ever beaten me at regionals has been to the games.
Right.
Right. So, and I'm always on the.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Stiff competition.
That was a good regional.
Yeah, it was a good regional. So at Iron Mile, it kind of bred out of that. So I got a yoke from my friend Mark Bell. He runs a podcast somewhere. Anyway. And,
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. And I was like, you know what? I need to get better at just long, grueling workouts. Like I need to get way, way better at them. And I've gotten better at them. I just haven't got better fast enough yet. So, but anyway, I was like, you know what? I'm going to load this yoke with like another 100 pounds, right? The Rogue standard yoke. And I'm like, I'm going to carry it like 400 meters. I was like, no, 400 meters, like anybody could carry it 400 meters. Right. And then
Not really, but go on.
yeah, exactly. Right. So I was like, this 275-pound backpack, I'm going to carry it for 400 meters. And then I was like, no, I think Jason and Neil, they'd probably carry it like 800 meters. Right. And then, well, I want to beat them. So I was like, I might as well just go a freaking mile. Right. So I just started calling it the Iron Mile because I got to the mindset where I wanted to push harder than anyone else in training.
Right.
I wanted to do more volume. I wanted to work harder. And there's a little bit of a loss of efficiency when you do something like that, like kind of what Blair's talking about. There's an efficiency in the way he works out, right? But when you work out so long, you start to lose some of the efficiency. And so you're working out twice as long. And those last, say, 2 hours, you're only getting another 15 or 20% better rather than the same in the first 2 hours.
Gotcha.
But you know what, that 15 to 20% day after day after day after day, even though it's taking you a long time, is making you a lot better. And so at Iron Mile, it's just the mindset is we outwork everyone.
Just to try to keep pushing forward no matter what.
Yep.
Very cool.
That's worked, man. Ben has gotten progressively better and better and better, not only at the things that he's good at, but at the things he's not good at. And so now you see him, and he is a guy that's challenging for one of those top 5 spots in the California Super Regional last year, and it's going to be again this year.
It seems to have benefited both of you guys being around each other. You guys train together sometimes. You guys are pushing each other all the time. What's it like when you guys get around some of these other CrossFit top-notch athletes? I know, like amongst each other, it's probably not a big deal. Win some, lose some. He beats you on this, you beat him on that. You try to stay as close as you can on certain things, and you as well. But what is it like when you get around some of these top-level guys and you kind of know you have them, like you beat them on certain things? That's got to be a pretty good feeling, right?
That feels so good. That feels so good. I remember competing with Jason and like Chris Spieler, and I remember competing with these guys, and Kalipa is a great example. Because
when you see him like, on the internet or TV or wherever, it must be kind of like a thing. Like you see him and you're like, oh shit, like this is the guy. This guy does this guy does that. Then you get in competition with him and you're like, oh shit, like I got a chance to whoop his ass right here.
Right. And it was a long time before
cool.
I ever beat Jason Kalipa in a workout, and it was so frustrating because I felt like there were things that I should be able to do better than him based on my body type. Right. That he would always just beat me by like 5 seconds.
He just kind of doesn't care.
And, I mean, yeah, and he's an incredible case because of the way his motor is for how big of an athlete he is.
Right.
But when it actually happened, like I remember in 2011, I beat him at quite a few workouts, and it felt really good.
What a chump.
Yeah.
Or just like, hey, man, okay, I belong here.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Well, this year at regionals, I had a really good showing, even though I didn't qualify for the games. I took top 5 in 5 workouts, I think, out of 7. I just had 2 really bad workouts, but that meant I beat Neil Maddox, I think, at 2 or 3 workouts this year.
Yeah.
And I had never beat him at a regional workout up until this point.
Yeah.
And so for me, as a guy who's qualified to the games, 5 years in a row or something like that, that felt really, really good.
And he's a guy that typically you look at him and saying he has the same strengths as you.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So for you to beat him at some workouts, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And then as far as like Jason, because he's the king of NorCal, quote unquote, I've beat him at a handful of workouts.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've got to grind really hard in order to beat Jay. And like he sent me a workout the other day and I did it. I think he beat me by like 40 reps, so.
How are most of these guys? Are most of these guys pretty willing to share information, or are they pretty closed off, or it kind of depends? Like Jason, for example, he's just like, hey, you should try this, or is he kind of more like, hey, you're on your own, dude?
Jay's pretty open.
That's cool.
But like other guys are not. Like Neil's extremely competitive, doesn't want to give any edge to any competitor ever.
I just feel like the sports, even powerlifting, the sports we're in, like there's no secret.
Right.
Like I can teach you how to deadlift, and
there's not
start
too
to tell
many
you
different
like
ways.
Yeah. Like it'll take you a long time to out deadlift me. Like
Right.
you can show me all your CrossFit tricks, Ben, or even just running or whatever the fuck, and you're gonna smash me. You know, it's just kind of how it is. Like there's tips, there's no tricks.
Right. Well, Jason and Neil are good, juxtaposition, but you take somebody like Jason and Dan Bailey, because I'll use them because they're both really, really good guys. Dan Bailey is very secretive about his training leading up to regionals, and he doesn't like to tell people what he's doing.
Doesn't want to train with anybody.
No, doesn't want to train with anybody. And I
we
think
know some people that like won't let the stuff get videoed, or they don't want to talk about competing, and then they compete out of nowhere, just like superstitious and stuff.
Yeah, they don't
like
put up their PRs. Like I'm not just gonna pull 800 out of nowhere, and
and not say anything. Jason will tell you everything.
Yeah.
Jason will tell you literally every single thing. At least he'll tell me every single thing he does.
Yeah.
And then I got to try to beat it, and I never do.
I think it doesn't really matter a ton, like if you're transparent, because you should be comfortable enough, like what he's saying. You should be comfortable enough with your own traits,
the talents and hard work. If you have them,
Well, and furthermore,
going to help.
Furthermore, you shouldn't be able to guess that what somebody else does is going to work exactly the same way for you,
or change
now,
your whole.
I guess it might be
athletic.
different if you're a coach and that's the way you're making your living. Then you may not want to share everything all the time with everybody.
That too.
Sure, it might be a different situation.
Yeah, I think overall the community is extremely open. Like people, if you actually have somebody's phone number, you want to reach out and ask them for an idea, or I saw this on Instagram, like give me some background, like they'll give it to you for the most part.
What's your first experience with CrossFit, Ben? How'd you get involved in it?
My first experience, I was at a Gold's Gym. I was just a trainer. I was a salesperson at a Gold's Gym in Elk Grove. And
over there bench pressing, working on them pecs, and
yeah, man.
Next thing you know,
his arms didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then
next thing you know, you're burping.
Well, some guy comes up to me. He's like 43 years old, and then, that was 6 years ago. I was like 27, 26. So I found CrossFit kind of late compared to some people. And he's like, hey, I got this workout for you. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. It's called Baby.
Whatever, old man.
I was like,
it's called Baby.
You named your workout Baby?
Baby?
Like, it sounded kind of gay.
Yeah, it's not.
Like,
Yeah.
just being real. Like, it sounded kind of gay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's like, it's 10 wall balls to a 10-foot target. I'm like, okay, what's a wall ball? And he brings, he has to show me everything. And then 10 burpees, right? And I was doing MMA at the time also. So I had kind of like a competitiveness and like that time constraint type workout idea. And he's like, 10 wall balls, 10 burpees for 10 rounds. I'm like, okay, cool. I think
that's kind of tough, bro.
We should mention that Ben is undefeated, by the way.
Yeah. I think
in his MMA career.
In my MMA career. I think it took me 18 minutes to do this workout. And about 3 rounds in, I was actually hovering over the med ball with one elbow on it, like trying to lay down but not lay down on the ground, because before at CrossFit you never lay down on the ground during workouts. After CrossFit you're like, oh, it's normal. You finish a workout and you fall down on the ground.
Yeah, clothes come off, lay on the ground.
Yeah, but there I was like, no way. 3 rounds in, he's like, this guy's coaching me. He's like, all right, this is just like an MMA fight. You got to get back up, man, because this guy's gonna start punching you in the face.
Like,
I'm
I don't want to.
This sucks, man. Come on, give me a break here. And he's like, just keep going. I'm like, oh, and I'm in the middle of this Gold's Gym, and people are looking at me. Again, this is 6 years ago, before even less people knew about CrossFit.
Yeah.
And it just was super awkward. But I realized that the last time I got beat that bad was when I went to Uriah Faber's gym. So
you want to keep doing it to help your MMA career, or you love the feeling of like burning lungs, or
no, I wanted to do it because at the time I thought MMA was the route I was going to go.
And so this would supplement that.
Exactly.
Did you get super sore from that workout and stuff? I mean, a lot of times people don't like to go through that much pain because the end result is bad. You feel like shit a couple days later. So what drew you to go back to it?
It's just like when you're in that environment where you train or you work out or you're in the gym for a living, when you see a workout that just puts you on your butt and you're like, dude, I can't do this. There's a part of you that just wants to go back.
You're too competitive to,
you're just too competitive.
Have it get the better of you, basically.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I was a pro bodybuilder, so I couldn't be like, well, I got to go back to bodybuilding. That didn't work. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm a functional athlete. Like I was doing MMA. You're like, you can't throw a ball and do a burpee. Like this is very much similar to what you do. So, anyway, that's what I did, and I sucked at it.
And then what was the evolution of wanting to open up a CrossFit gym and stuff? Just started getting so passionate and excited about it, that kind of thing? Yeah,
I realized that MMA was not the route. So for me, I have 4 kids.
Punched in the head's not a great idea.
Yeah, I have 4 kids, and that gym, as well as it's
Who would win between you and Charlie Zamora? Didn't he do some MMA?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot right now. Ready, go.
Charlie's long.
No, if we fought 10 times, I'd win 9 out of 10 times, and then the other one might be a draw.
That's awesome. There you go, Charlie.
I'm not talking down to Charlie. I'm only speaking from my own skill set.
That's right.
That's all I'm doing.
That's right.
I would crush him.
I think Charlie and I would have a hard time finding a weight we could meet at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Charlie's
He's
a pretty
getting
big
big.
dude. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe Charlie would get the better of me.
He's a big kid.
Probably not, though. So opening a gym, you just start getting really passionate about it. I left MMA because my kids would have a hard time going there and hanging out. And as most people know, like my kids come into the gym, they hang out with me. My wife comes in, that she hangs out with me. And so I just got to the point where it's like, MMA is not the thing.
Right.
And I had some significant life events that happened. I was like, I just need a change. And so I started just diving into CrossFit. I went and got certified at NorCal with Jason Khalipa. And I just opened up a little CrossFit class at Gold's Gym. People started coming. My clientele for my personal training department, which I was running at the time, started wanting to come to my class.
I want to point out that I think it changed your life, for the better, because at the time you were training people. You weren't a powerlifter. You weren't a bodybuilder. You weren't defined by like a particular sport. You did a little MMA. You weren't that happy with that. And this came along and seemed to be like just the right thing for you at the right time, something you became really passionate about. And now I think you have 2 gyms, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because I didn't really have anything that defined me, in a sense. Like once I started doing CrossFit, I started telling people like without cutting any corners or just like very direct. I said, hey, I feel like I was created to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
At least at this point in my life, I was created to do CrossFit. Like God put me on the earth to do CrossFit for like the next indefinite amount of time. And I'm sure I could go do something else at some point, but it's got to have to be that clear.
Well, you tried a bunch of different other things, and this felt the best to you, right?
That's it.
Yeah, when I met Greg Glassman like 2 years ago at the CrossFit Games, I mentioned your story to him, and I said, "Hey, I just want to thank you because I have a friend who, who's kind of turned his life around. Not that your life was bad,
right?
But basically has created a good life for his family." And I said, "I know a lot of other stories like that within the CrossFit community. I just wanted to thank you for that." And he thought that was the coolest thing, and he went on and on about all these successful CrossFits and stuff, and he thought that was really cool. So it gave me a good thing to speak to him about. And then all the Reebok people were like, "What were you talking to him about forever? He never talks to anybody." I was like, "Oh, it was cool, man."
Well, you never say what he wants to hear.
Yeah, kicking it with him for a couple minutes there, so that was cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So how do you keep it going? How do you keep? I mean, not every CrossFit is going to survive. There's a lot of consolidation and CrossFit's just affiliates just going out of business. Like, how do you keep it going? What drives your business for both of you?
That's a good question because I think it's different in every market. Like right now, the Sacramento area is kind of saturated with gyms, and so you're seeing some gyms go out of business, and that's not the case. Like maybe in Europe right now, or in Nebraska right now, or whatever. So I think
parts of Canada,
still
growing.
In certain areas, it's just opening one is going to be enough because there's not access to it. But once you hit this saturation point and the market kind of like equalizes, my personal opinion is that you have to be, number one, distinct from the other gyms in some respect. Either it's your style or your philosophy. Kind of Ben and I have a little bit of a different slant on CrossFit. And so people that like my ideology will kind of gravitate towards my gym, and people that like his ideology will gravitate towards his gym.
Because I'm sure you have people who travel from kind of far. They don't all live in Folsom, correct? Like all the people who come to your gym. Like you have people who drive.
I mean, you have a radius that's a reasonable driving distance. I mean, if it's a half-hour drive, people aren't going to do it. But if they're within 10 miles, they'll drive to you, and there's going to be other options within that radius, right? And that's the idea of having a saturated market. So that's one thing, like being distinct. The other thing is like staying, I don't know if passionate's the right word, but staying connected to your actual job of being a gym owner and not just saying you're a gym owner. And I think a lot of people get into CrossFit because it's a new thing. They think it's just cool to own a gym. I can work out whenever I want.
The ease of entry is so easy.
So if you're opening it to try to keep the doors open of a warehouse style gym, it may not be in your best interest to do it that way. You got to be more into it than that, right?
Yeah. Now you do. At least around here you do.
Right.
Like you actually have to be there, and you got to really love owning a gym because you don't make a lot of money, and there's a lot of other options for people to go to, and like humans are very perceptive of the energy that other humans are putting out, and so if they know that you don't really want to be there, they're not going to want to be there.
Even little kids are really good with that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing.
So that's my opinion. I think those two things are the number one and number two reasons of how you can continue to make it. You got to make obviously good business decisions, not waste all your money, but that goes without saying.
So basically, you just have to differentiate yourself from your nearby competitors.
Well, there's a differentiation, but there's also, the reality is CrossFit is a community-based fitness program, right? So if you're not taking care of your community, then you're going to lose your community, and that's what's going to happen. People are going to go to a place where they feel taken care of, and I think that's kind of what Blair's saying, staying connected. But the other thing is, you really have to, I think, try to continually exceed the expectations that people have for their workout, right? Like if you've been doing the same workouts for the last 3 years, it's going to get kind of boring for people,
right?
And you need to evolve with their fitness, just like they need to evolve, as people, So if your fitness program is kind of going to mirror their life. If you have a bunch of people who are like okay and comfortable staying with that, my guess is they're kind of like that in their everyday life. So you want to kind of push them in everything.
Yeah, that's a great point, dude. So I'll tell you like a story about.
He's never said that before.
He doesn't have many good ideas, but it's a great point because people that go to CrossFit are a certain type of person. They're most of them are pretty type A. They like knowing that something is working.
They're weird,
and they don't necessarily.
They don't like shirts.
They don't want to wear shirts, but they want to feel like they're doing something that is better than what everybody else is doing, right? And so they get that feeling when they do something that's either new or different or super, super fucking hard, right? So I decided I wanted to run a couple Spartan races this year. And so we started doing these Spartan WODs once a week. Because if I'm going to do it, then everybody's going to at least know what I'm going through. And it's basically a workout where you run, come in, do a little exercising inside, run, come in, do a little lifting, run, come back in. And it's like this long 50-minute workout that's not very CrossFit. It's not typical of a CrossFit gym. And I was like, yeah, it's a lot of running. People probably aren't going to like it. Man, they love it.
Oh, really? That's cool.
All that people want to ask me is like, what day are we doing the Spartan WOD? Like, that's so much fun. And I'm like, this is the hardest thing you guys have ever done. There's no way you actually look forward to this. But they do, because it's different. And that's something that they can put on Facebook and talk about that they did.
That kind of leads me into my next question. Were you in that Spartan race to win? A lot of CrossFitters go and they're CrossFit and they're pretty good at CrossFit, but maybe they're like, CrossFit, we appreciate it because it gets more barbells in people's hands. It obviously gets people off couches. It obviously creates business for people, but it opens people's eyes to other sports. More people know about powerlifting, more people know about weightlifting, and more people know about strongman purely because of CrossFit. And so, that
you're welcome.
Yeah, no, truly. So anyone that talks shit on CrossFit, that's, one of our simple answers to it. But, and then they do very well in those sports as they go. There's tons of weightlifters now that started in CrossFit and they're kicking ass nationally. Right. I don't know about strongman just because real strongmen are 6'6" and 400 pounds. It's a little different. But I'm sure there's Spartan races or mud races or whatever it is. So do you see you guys yourself doing anything else, Ben? Or Blair, were you going to Spartan Race Championship? I think there's money in that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. They pay out like the top 10 or 20 spots, I think. Dude, honestly, I did the 9
bathrooms
mile,
or do you poop?
Yeah, poop mid mud.
You're running through poop. It's a lot of running. It's a lot of running, and so I don't think I'll ever be able to win a Spartan race, even though I'm a good runner. But I like doing them because it is a huge challenge to overcome, and I think it's important for somebody to be able to move their body 10 plus miles without totally breaking down and needing a gurney to get rid of it, get you off the course. But if I could get a top 10 finish, that would be awesome.
So you might try for it.
I might. Well, yeah. I did the sprint this year in June, and then I did the super, which is the middle distance, just a couple weeks ago. And I did good. I finished in the top 10%. I think I was 26th out of 250 people, like of elite men. So I did pretty well.
And most of the people that do Spartan race are a little smaller than the CrossFitters, would you say?
Yeah, they're runners, man. It is you go from a cross-country athlete, and then they add in some obstacles, and that's what a Spartan racer is.
Height and weight for both of you guys for the audio audience that
can't see our huge physiques.
Exactly.
I am 6 feet 190, solid.
Solid ass pounds.
That's why he's wearing sunglasses. He couldn't look you guys in the eye and say that. But I'm 5'10". I'm about 210.
Okay.
Damn sexy.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
He looks just like The Rock.
Yeah, baby Rock. Oh,
people's eyebrow.
There you go. Crowd goes wild.
So Ben and I are built completely differently. Even like just the height and weight doesn't really show like my bones are a lot narrower and baby giraffe like, and Ben is built more like a tank.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we talk about this. Well, we talk about this all the time. Like Blair, if he spent, I don't know, the next year in here at Super Training, there are certain lifts that he just would not beat me at no matter what. And if I spent the next year doing Spartan WODs, I wouldn't be able to outrun him.
Right.
It's just like there's some of the stuff is just genetic, and you can't outwork some of your genetics.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what kind of makes it fun. Is you have to have that self-realization. It also holds a mirror up and say, hey, you really got to work hard in this area. And then what are you going to give up to do it? I know you like talking about that.
Yeah, but what if you give steroids?
I don't know. I'm down to try. Just kidding.
Seriously, I'm probably a phenomenal candidate for the.
Well, I was pretty open on your podcast about my situation. Are you guys gonna willing to open up about all the juice you guys are using?
I'll be open about
for all this running
use.
and stuff you're doing and the burpees.
Yeah, I'll be open my steroid use. I have not used steroids ever.
Yeah,
and I've thought about it 400 times.
Have you guys been tested for the games?
I've actually never been tested. I would really like to be tested because that would mean that I'm qualifying for the games.
There you go.
But I've not been tested. I'm sure Blair has been tested multiple times.
Yeah, I've been tested. It was a urine test.
Failed every time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like the worst endorsement for steroids.
What do you guys think of? You played football and you were in MMA and stuff. So I mean, just not even just in CrossFit itself, but kind of what do you guys think of first of all, steroids are. In powerlifting and bodybuilding, there's drug tested organizations you can go to. if you want to, and there's non-drug tested organizations you can go to if you want to. But CrossFit and a lot of these other companies, UFC and NFL and MLB and so on and so forth, have took a stance against steroids. So what do you guys think of, just kind of the whole thing, people using them, and are people using them in your community, do you think, and that kind of thing?
Side note, those federations that do drug test in our sports are often very much less popular than the untested.
Right. Really?
Untested or drug tested bodybuilding is, name one drug tested bodybuilder.
Mike O'Hearn.
Yeah, I only know them because they're like friends, like Alberto Nunez or something. But other than that, right, it's Ronnie Coleman, it's Arnold. I mean, those are all untested. Same with powerlifting. All the big names, untested.
Yeah.
I think, when you look at the money side of it, you can't really make a good argument maybe for that. But if you look at regular sports, like something with a football or a baseball, those sports are tested and they make a lot of money too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you look at
let's
just
talk a little bit about like money for a second. Is there, I think people always say there's money in CrossFit. Is there money in CrossFit? Like have either one of you guys won a lot of money from CrossFit?
I'm sure there's a lot of money in CrossFit. I don't receive the money in CrossFit. I actually contribute to a lot of money that CrossFit gets. You know what I mean? Both from my affiliate fees and my entry fees and things like that.
Right. So you have a gym, but that's a separate business. You're not actually like making money from doing CrossFit.
No.
Right. I think
as an athlete,
now
there could be some sponsorship money for some people.
Yeah. I mean, I have a sponsorship. I have, from that side of it.
Right.
And I think that's not necessarily always just from being like the best at pull-ups, but being a voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
having a voice
absolutely.
in the community. And I think that anyone who has a voice in whatever community
having
they are,
influence and having a following of some sort.
Yeah, that's not unique to CrossFit necessarily. You know what I mean? But in terms of
being
CrossFit
handsome
as an athlete, I don't get paid to show up to events. Let's just say that.
I don't think there's not money in CrossFit if you're an athlete, not real money. There's money in CrossFit if you're a business, right? Because it's a huge population of people. Like you said, 200,000 people signed up to do the Open, and if they're all buying Reebok shoes or if they're all buying Rogue barbells, that's a lot of money.
Slingshots or something.
Right, slingshots, a lot of money that way. But as an athlete right now, I mean, there's most of the sponsorships because the companies are younger. They're gear only sponsorships. There's a few athletes that get paid, maybe 100 or 200 athletes in the world that really make some money. But even that, it's going to be minimal. It's not going to be enough for you to not have another job. Now, winning competitions, the competition scene is growing. There's other competitions besides the games that are paying out, tens of thousands of dollars if you win. But it's not to the level of, say, like the PGA Tour or NASCAR, where if you win a race, you're set for the year.
You could retire.
Probably. It's not like that. So you put your body through a ton of abuse, and your window is probably pretty small, realistically. The more we see, the more we're going to know. But there's not enough money in CrossFit right now to be just an athlete.
Right. And having said that, powerlifting, there's absolutely hardly any money, even
and tons of steroids.
Even less. Yeah, even less. And same with bodybuilding. The reward is that you go up there and you beat the next guy, I guess.
Top 5 maybe in bodybuilding make some real cash, and the top 5 in powerlifting make no cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much, yeah.
And for years I've been kind of making the statement of if you're, above 220 pounds and you're below 10%, that odds are you're probably using something. And I've said that for many years, but now it gets to be so much harder to tell because you have different athletes from a lot of different sports starting to get into performance-enhancing drugs, like Anderson Silva
Lance Armstrong
has been busted with it before, Lance Armstrong. And so now you're like, wait a second.
Vitor's jacked, though.
Yeah. Well, some of these body types are quite different than Ronnie Coleman.
Right.
And it starts to make it a little bit more confusing. So it's definitely feasible that some CrossFitters are using it. Have you guys ever experienced anyone just kind of, blowing past you out of nowhere where you're kind of like, that's odd, like has a thought been in your head like, hey, it's possible that some of these people are using something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I
I
feel like you
remember,
see at the local scene.
Yeah, local scene for sure. But I remember even at the games in 2009 being, and I'm not saying that this is what happened, but I've just had that where I looked twice. There were guys that were there that I would be next to and stand next to and say like, okay, we're about the same size. We look about the same, whatever. And then the next year in 2010, I'm like, holy shit. Like this guy is huge.
Right.
Like you look way different, bro.
You did a double take, no homo.
What? Yeah. And now maybe like part of that could be just the fact that they really weren't in that good a shape the year before, and it wasn't that hard to get to the games. And now they really trained.
Right.
But realistically, like if that's happening now, everybody's been training hard for 5 years. Like nobody's showing up now, like never and qualifying for the games without having trained a lot.
Drastic changes when you're already good at something or already doing
a certain
very
age.
well is
You know,
rare.
if you're 35 and all of a sudden you just get shredded, you know, that's a little weird.
I've gotten accused of doing steroids before. You know what I mean? People have looked at me and been like, dude, you're definitely on something, you know? And
you used to be bigger when you were just lifting and stuff, right?
I was
You were
like
a little heavier.
221, I think is the heaviest I've ever been.
Yeah, see, he's right over
Just
that mark.
right at the cutoff.
Right over that marker.
Yeah, right? And so, you know, but people are like, oh, where'd Ben Alderman come from? Like, he's really good now, you know? And it's like, well.
Like, oh, look at his biceps.
I don't know. I mean, I just changed my training methodologies and I got better. And, you know, I didn't use any steroids, but I didn't really, like, continue that meteoric rise. I kind of now have to just grind it out, Iron Mile style.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a little bit of like a gray area around CrossFit because it's a new style of training, at least the amount of volume that the top athletes are putting in, where it makes you question, like you said, your old archetype of what a steroid user looks like.
Right.
Not to say that they're not using anything, but like, goddamn, you've never seen people like work out this hard before for this long.
Yeah.
So like, who's to say that it's not possible?
And genetics, right? Like you said, the Spartans racing's brand new, but you defined what that body type was. And it's only been around, what, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, right? But there's a body type for CrossFit, especially top level, right? They're going to be 5'8" to 6 foot. They're going to be 170 to 190 pounds, generally pretty damn lean. Right?
Guys,
it's not like 170 pounds, 190 to.
All right. Well, my point is that like guys like Mark aren't just showing up and like, oh, I think I should do CrossFit. Or guys like Brian Shaw, the world's strongest man. He's not like, oh, CrossFit looks fun. That fits my body type.
No.
At this point, there is some money on the line if you win, and the people that are doing it for a long time. Like, I stopped playing basketball when I was 19 because I'm not going to the NBA because I'm not over 6'6". You know, like at some point you realize, okay, CrossFit's going to be my hobby. Okay, I'm going to be a CrossFit athlete.
Yeah. And it's changed. I mean, it's become more specific. Like in 2011, the final heat, like going out for that final workout, it was like me, Rich, Dan Bailey, Spencer Hendel, Graham Holmberg. It was like a bunch of different like heights and like sizes and shapes. Like Matt Chan was like really big and that kind of thicker guy. And, you know, Dan was a shorter, stockier guy. And
everybody's pretty jacked.
But, I mean, they're all pretty jacked, but like you don't see that as much anymore.
They all kind of look starting to look the same.
They're starting to look the same.
Like every other sport, right? You see an NFL player walking down the street, you know that guy's in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. And on the female side, it's not quite to that level yet. You still have a bigger variation in the girls just because upper body strength is not something that a lot of girls have naturally the way men do. So you have some girls that have flawless technique and they're still able to keep a smaller body size. But it's going that way. Pretty soon you're going to have all super jacked girls at the top.
Yeah, no doubt. One thing I would say to kind of defend, you know, the fact that it's, you know, possible that a lot of guys are natural is the simple fact that both of you guys have probably worked with tons and tons of athletes over the last couple of years, probably, you know, near thousands or in the hundreds for sure. I myself have been super training gym since 2006, nearly a full decade. You know, I've had the gym for a long time. You guys have been around a lot of people. And other than like going outside the state and traveling somewhere else, it's really rare for me to run into what I would call a mutant, you know, somebody who is just clearly on another level, regardless of drugs, you know, whether drugs are part of it or not part of it. They're just clearly different than everybody from a genetic standpoint. It's really rare for us to have that here at Super Training, even though we've been around for a long time. Have you guys had, you know, mutants come into your facility, or do you guys have some genetic mutations that have come to your gym that you would just kind of say like this dude's he's just different? Like, I don't know what the hell it is about him, but you know, he's 6'5" and he weighs 250 and he shouldn't be able to do that, but he's doing it, you know, that kind of thing. Have you guys run into that much?
I had a kid who was he was 19 years old. He was trying to play junior college football, and like pretty soft-spoken guy, white kid, big, kind of soft, and the dude did a 1 mile Airdyne sprint in 2:07, which is like 7 seconds faster than I ever saw anybody do it, and then walked over and deadlifted 550 pounds.
Wow.
And like to be able to have that much power, but also be able to sustain it for 2+ minutes was pretty mutant-like.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he is anymore.
I guess my point is just a
Flash
simple
in the
fact
pan.
that CrossFit has reached out to, at least as far as the CrossFit Open goes, 200,000 people. You probably multiply that number times, I don't know, 5 or something. That's probably how many people actually do CrossFit in a given year or something like that. They've reached out to a large number of people. So having said that, there's going to be a lot of mutants in the bunch, you know?
Yeah.
It is rare to kind of run into them. We've had like Stan Efferding here and a few others come to mind that have come through here, but it's really rare to where you're like, this guy's just, I don't know, like this guy's squatting 700 and everybody else is squatting 500. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is.
I mean, Rich is like the mutant in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not because he's just so near the top in every area.
He's not visually intimidating, right? Like we've all been around him, but he's not visually intimidating.
I think if you're talking about steroids too, it wouldn't even explain everything either.
No.
Even if he did take them, it just wouldn't explain it. Like he's just on another level, period, regardless. Because
that's the top of everything, right? Barry Bonds, he was hitting fucking home runs before he took shit.
Right.
Right. Ronnie Coleman was still jacked when he was 18 and natural.
Right.
Michael Jordan gained some weight when he was in the 90s. He started lifting weights, but whether he's on shit or off shit, he's still the best basketball player to ever live.
Right. Yeah.
You know, maybe Rich is on, maybe Rich is off. Doesn't really matter. He would probably still be the best.
Yeah.
And you have natural people who will kind of say, oh, they make a bigger difference than everybody knows. And you'll have people that are on stuff that say, oh, they don't make that big a difference. They do make a difference, but nothing can trump hard work and just having the genetics behind you.
Yeah, I think that the only mutants I ever run into are people at the top of the sport. Like they don't come into my gym.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those mutants have already been discovered by.
Yeah. I guess that's my main point. Is they're really few and far between.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. There's very, very few of them.
Do you think there's more to come? I mean, there's guys like Adrian Peterson and Dwight Howard. There's still guys showing up in those sports out of nowhere that are absolute mutants of the mutants.
Well, last week we sat down with an NFL player. He played linebacker for the 49ers. His name's Larry Grant. And he was talking about just the difference between CrossFit and the NFL. And I had told him that people come to me all the time and say, hey, Ben, you know what? You're pretty good right now, but once those NFL guys come over here, you're going to be nothing, right? And Larry was like, I don't know about that, man. He's like, our sport's very different, and the way we're built is very different. He was not at all trying to take anything away from what any top level CrossFitter has done. Right. Like he's like, we are big and athletic, but
I think
we're not
the main thing with what Mike is saying.
Yeah, I've said that exact quote, and what I mean by that is that the sport isn't enough money, and it's not old enough yet to find the top genetics.
Well,
right? That's what I mean by that.
Your kids, for example, you know, when your kids start lifting in front of other people are going to be like, "What the hell's going on with these kids? Where these
when
mutants,
Mason's 18,
where these
it's
mutants
over,
come
right?
from?" You know,
I mean, like really.
Yeah.
They've been doing it their whole life. It's kind of just part of their life, you know.
Mason and I had the conversation this morning that he said when he's 14, he wants to be on my regional team, and I'll be 39, and so we'll be on the same team. I'm just wondering if I'll be able to do more work than him.
Yeah, he'll be trying to push you along. Come on, old man.
Exactly. So in 2009 at the games, it was the last year before they moved it to the it was then the Home Depot Center in Southern California. So it was at this ranch in Aromas. It was like real kind of backyard, grimy event, and I remember this same conversation was being had with me, this guy OPT, who's like an OG CrossFitter. He won the first games, and a couple other people. And
he's like the only guy banned from the CrossFit games. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's pretty funny.
The statement that Glassman had made was that, you know, the pinnacle of the sport would be when somebody could deadlift or squat 500 pounds and run a sub 5 minute mile, right? And right now, that still hasn't happened.
I think there's a guy named Alex Viata that might run sub 5 and squat 700.
I think I've heard that, yeah.
Look him up.
He does CrossFit?
He does his own cross training.
Right.
Anyway,
he doesn't compete in CrossFit.
Getting close.
That's
Go back
like,
to your point.
That was the idea then, is that, okay, you should be able to have, or you should, if people train this way, you should get not just, obviously it's not going to be a 4 minute miler, which is elite or a 1,000-pound squatter, elite, but you're going to have people that are going to be really pushing the boundaries in multiple areas. And what you've seen for the last...
When he made that statement where you're like, I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know, man. That's a lot of weight.
That sounds pretty crazy.
But what you've seen is people have pushed the one side of it. Like, they're Olympic level lifters in CrossFit now. And they've taken the last 5 years or so to develop that proficiency and that level of strength training. And now what I think is going to happen is you're going to see them take that strength and start pushing the boundaries in the other areas. I mean, you see guys doing endurance training and whatever, but you don't have a lot of guys at the CrossFit Games that could make a high school cross country team.
Right.
You know, but they will, because that's what
you played college football, and you worked on strength training and probably worked on trying to gain weight and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What were your lifts like then compared to now?
Let's see. So when I played in college, that was from 2000 to 2004, and I couldn't squat as much as I squat now. I know that. I think I was maybe around a 360 or 370 squat, and now my squat's around 450. We didn't deadlift at all in football. All we did was squat, bench press, and like power clean.
Right.
So I think all my lifts are better now than they were then, I guess. And the other thing about football, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like these elite genetic guys, the process of playing football makes you really bound up and tight. It's not a flexible sport. So guys transferring from years of playing football into CrossFit, it's not really a great transition. Now, if you get them early enough, like genetic freak at high school level, and they're like, maybe I don't want to get a bunch of concussions. I'm going to do CrossFit instead. Now you're going to have
you get people dreaming about CrossFit the way they dream about the NFL.
Well, right? Well, just like what you said, right? Like the final heat or whatever, when you went, there was 12 different body types, and then now there's one body type.
Right.
And that one body type's only going to get better, and it's only going to get more specific.
Right. And now if you just get a couple guys that have, like, I don't think any of the CrossFit Games finalists right now are elite athletes, like just pure athleticism.
Well, Rich played college football with D3.
College baseball.
Right, okay, baseball, and he was D3, which is college athletics is very hard to get to. America's very competitive in all sports, but he's not.
But you will
not D1 or D2 school.
I mean, last year at the Bahamas thing and Reebok, the Reebok Athlete Summit, it was like, Marcus Hendren was out there. You had Kyle Kasparov. These are like college level football players, and they're out playing pickup football and basketball. And guys are good athletes, but they're not running like 4.340s.
Right.
They're not having 40-inch verticals. Like the pure traditional measurements of athleticism, like the guys that are at the top of the CrossFit Games don't have all those elite measurements yet, because number one, those guys are going to other sports, and number two, I really think that CrossFit is so demanding mentally and physically on your body that people that are that athletic, they don't want to freaking do it.
The mental side of CrossFit is very different. Yeah. I think I'm a pretty good athlete. I can run pretty fast, jump pretty high.
Who told you that?
Myself.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Self-reported.
Did Mark tell you that?
No, he never compliments me.
Okay.
And whatever, everything's hindsight. But I think I have D1 athletics, and I would suck at CrossFit. Like people always talk about going to a dark place. I don't even know what that means. But like you guys, like, just put yourself through pain, and you gotta block everything out and just I can't do that. I could never do that. I couldn't even run a mile. Like I got there's no chance, right? Yeah. My back locks up, and I'm like, fuck, I'm out. Where I can still jump pretty high, and maybe in a 40 I might beat you guys, but that's regardless. It has nothing to do with anything.
A lot of the NFL body types just look so much different too. Guys are 6'5".
Yeah, they're so
6'6",
tan.
and they're 6'5" and 6'6" and stuff like that, and they're super tall. And you're seeing the CrossFitters are usually 5'9", 5'10".
Some of those guys are really small. Yeah.
Yeah,
some of the guys are doing pretty well. Yeah.
Like Matt Frazier took second the last 2 years, and he's 5'8". He's a freak.
Who's the guy in San Diego?
He's so strong.
Invictus.
Yeah. What about him?
San Diego. I don't know. He's
Josh Bridges.
Short. Yeah, Josh Bridges. Yeah, Josh Bridges. He's always up in the top.
Yep. Yeah. I think that what you were alluding to at the Reebok Summit with Marcus Hendren, Kyle Kasparov, even Rich, those guys played high-level sports, but not the highest level. Right. And I think they probably overcame some of their lack of athleticism, although they are probably more athletic than I am, by hard work, right? But they lacked that elite 4.340 like you're mentioning, or that 40-inch vertical or whatever it was.
We end up with similar stuff in powerlifting. We don't end up with, there's not like a former, NFL player. There's not like, there's no one crazy.
Even though Justin Smith of the Niners supposedly squats 750.
Yeah.
I believe it.
That guy's such a beast.
I believe it.
Yeah, he is a beast.
That's a rumor. Until he comes to super training, it's just a rumor.
It's just a rumor. Post it, video it, or it didn't happen.
That's the other thing. So that conversation that I had with OPT, he's like, let him come. Let him prove it. And that's like the ultimate test, right? You have this option where anybody, there's no barrier to entry. You can come in and do the open. And
I think they did a good job with being able to try to find the fittest person in the world. The UFC opening up the floodgates on the old conversation of, I remember when I was a kid, and you'd say, oh, Tyson, he would kill this, he would kill Chuck Norris, or he'd beat up this guy or that guy.
Which we know is not true.
Yeah, no.
Steven Seagal would beat everybody in a fight.
But now you have a place where you can go. You want to act tough. You think you're cool. You think you're tough. You think you can beat people up. Then you can go into MMA.
Right.
You
and you can prove it.
There's a place where you can go for that.
Randy Couture, James Toney. Right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
That was embarrassing.
That was embarrassing.
I'm surprised UFC ever let that one happen. That was crazy.
Well, people were like, "Oh, James Toney is."
He literally grabbed James Toney by his toe.
Yeah, exactly.
And took him down and just beat his ass.
People were like, "James Toney was over the hill. He's past his prime." I'm like, I think Randy Couture was like 43 years old as well. I'm like, we're not talking about two guys in their prime, and Randy Couture kicked the crap out of him.
Hey, just couldn't stuff that takedown.
I'm really hoping that's gonna be my CrossFit story. Actually, about 43 years old, I'll finally make the CrossFit Games,
Right.
and I'll nip somebody by their toe and manage to hit the podium.
Are there many ex-pro wrestlers that do powerlifting?
I hope
Olympic wrestling?
No,
WWE?
like WWE wrestling.
Oh, you mean like real stuff?
You mean like The Undertaker?
Professional. Like, is that a popular transition?
It seems like a smart transition because pro wrestling hurts so bad.
Stone
and
Cold
powerlifting is super comfortable, so it seems like a
Stone Cold loves the bench.
yeah, he does. Yeah.
And drink beer.
That too.
Yeah. The rattlesnake.
Give me a hell yeah.
Some of the old school, WWE guys used to power lift. There's a bunch.
Mark
of guys.
Henry,
Hacksaw Jim Duggan back in the day. Bunch of those guys. Yeah, that's why they have those like fluffy builds.
Quick question: what's Austin 316?
he told us the story. Maybe you should listen to our podcast.
Exactly.
Oh,
He totally told the whole story.
Yeah, Austin 316 is Jake the Snake Roberts was a Bible thumper back in the day. They made it as like a gimmick for him, which was actually something that was true because he was going through rehabilitation and stuff. And so Stone Cold, after he beat him, he said, "You go around thumping your Bible. You talk about Psalms 3:16 or whatever the hell it is."
John 3:16.
John 3:16. There you go.
Of course, I know this.
So it shows you how much I know. My
Right.
parents are going to kill me.
Yeah.
You talk about John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, "I just whooped your ass."
Gotcha.
Mark, I think you have a present for Ben.
I do have a present for him.
A present for me? Is it that Bo Jackson rookie card sitting on the counter over
It
there?
might be
'Cause
better.
I'll take that.
He's got a Power Ranger.
I got a Power
Jim
Ranger.
has Superman.
I'm the Red Ranger.
Okay.
And you have Jesus.
Oh, I win.
There he is.
I win. Look at that.
He wins all battles.
He's a Gumby though.
Bendable, posable.
Yeah. What
Yeah, I
about
found that at the
Jesus
store
plus
the other day.
Superman? That'd be like a really good team right there.
They could. Like they're together,
Yeah.
working together.
Wait,
Yeah.
they're together?
Yeah, like an Avengers.
Well, not like that.
Well, yeah, not like that.
Hey now.
The next Avengers. Jesus
I think
is gonna be
Jesus is
the new
against that.
Avenger.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus would not approve of that. Like, oh, we need to work on that.
Hey now.
Jesus with a cape.
When you were playing football, do you think that you would have listened to some of this stuff about CrossFit? Like you would be able to get stronger while chasing after being more fit?
Yeah. So my first exposure to CrossFit was actually while I was playing college football. I would come back to Northern California in the off season and do some training.
What
and
position did
everything.
you play?
I was a wide receiver.
Ah, okay.
And one of the first affiliates was in my hometown, and my old high school football coach was the one that opened it. So I would go back and do some CrossFit for conditioning purposes, not for the Olympic lifting. Or
You went
anything
to
like
high school with Matt Barnes?
that. Yeah, at Del Campo. He was a couple years ahead of me, but I could tell you plenty of Matt Barnes stories. But anyway, so I did those in the off season and found that it was really, really effective on conditioning. So I would go back and I would feel pretty good going into camp and double days and stuff like that. But again, like back then, CrossFit didn't look the way it looks now. It was all the girls, the named workouts like Annie and Barbara and Cindy. It was Fight Gone Bad. It was all super lightweight, just motor stuff. That was all it was. And I was really good at that already. Like I could I knew how to move a barbell enough to do it. And I remember when I was transitioning to do competitions, I was like, is there anybody in the world that's better than me at doing these this CrossFit stuff?
That's awesome.
Because I would periodize like 6 weeks of CrossFit training, and then I would do like 6 weeks of powerlifting, and then I would do like 4 weeks of bodybuilding, and then I was geeking out on the programming. And every time I did the CrossFit stuff, I couldn't find anybody to work out with me, that could keep up with me. And so I started
smoking all these fools.
I'm like, dude, I'm like the best in the world.
Is periodizing go upstream against CrossFit?
The official company line on CrossFit is yes, but CrossFit Games athletes periodize pretty strong.
Yeah. I would just think you kind of have to, right?
You have to.
In order to get better at other stuff, yeah.
To take CrossFit into a competitive stage in sports, to peak, to be most efficient at it, you have to periodize, right?
Yeah.
To get fit, maybe you don't.
Right. I think people that just go to a CrossFit gym And like the way I program for my gym, I don't periodize programming, but athletes that are going to the games, yes.
Because CrossFit was,
although I don't think Kalipa does.
No, I was going to say, I think you get to a point where you have a requisite base in maybe a few different things, that you're ahead of the sport, or you're at least current with the sport, that really all you're doing is you're practicing being in the dark place that Mike's never been to. You know what I mean? And,
no thanks.
The better you get at that.
I see the light, buddy.
Yeah. The more repetition.
He's been in the closet before, but he came out a while
The light
back.
was on.
Yeah.
What's something that Jason said to us a couple weeks ago when we had him on the show was that that people shouldn't look at the CrossFit Games and think that that's CrossFit, because it's really sort of a bastardization of what goes on in the gyms, the programming that goes on in the gym.
That makes Blair really happy.
CrossFit was made to be a workout
agree.
thing, right? It was made for fitness, for general people, and then somehow turned into a competition.
That's right.
Right? Like basketball wasn't made to get people fit or to change lives. Basketball was made to compete against and score more points. So then it's
Well, the
just naturally a
competition
sport.
itself made it monetary, right?
Yeah.
Maybe look at
kinda.
it that way. Like it made it
Well, it made it more popular. So then
brought
you can
sponsorship and money into the
make your
fray.
own gym and continue. It is a business at its core.
Right.
Yeah.
CrossFit is an interesting case because it is, on the one hand, a lifestyle, a style of training that is for people that have regular jobs and everything like that. And on the other side, it is also this growing sport. And the two things are not the same. Just like Jason said, don't look at what you see on ESPN and say, that's what happens in a CrossFit gym, because that's not the point of what the CrossFit gym is. The CrossFit gym, the idea is to get you more fit in less amount of time than any other style of training, right? That's the idea, is that you're generally prepared to lift a little weight, to run a little distance, to do some gymnastics, to
Everyday living.
whatever. Exactly. Whatever you want to do, you should be able to do it decently. The CrossFit Games is way, way, way turned up.
Well, there's a ton of weightlifting, right?
Ton of
Weightlifting isn't necessarily
Yeah,
GPP.
there's always like ladders.
And
Yeah.
when you turn it up, you're not necessarily safe anymore, right? When you're
Of
actually
course.
trying to help build people when they come into your gym, that venue, that sport, that particular 5 days is designed to break you down.
That's everything in
Right?
fitness. I talk about that a lot.
Crazy
right?
that it's 5 days.
Yeah.
we
That
all
blows my mind.
We all got into whatever we're doing probably for health and fitness, and then we took it to an extreme. And it's not healthy and it's not fit.
Right.
Right. But we're not fit. I can't run. Right. You're not fit because you work out 4 times a day. You can't even sit down.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's
This is
some
true.
extreme that's not good.
I'm so thankful for this standing podcast. Like, this is really nice.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm coming off a rest week, so I still do that.
An entire week.
Yeah. Well, it's not like a dead week, but like it's a deloaded week where you're not doing nearly as much stuff.
So twice a day.
He went to Princeton, we said earlier.
Right. So I feel really good.
No, he's
at the end
super
of those
smart. When
weeks.
I used to train him, he's like, "Oh, I'm good." I'm like, "You sure you don't want to do one more?" I'm like, "No, other people are probably gonna try to, bait him into it, or I'll be like, Ben, like, why don't you go try to do more than him or something?"
Okay,
Ben's like,
whatever
"Oh,
you say."
Okay, boss. Blair's like, "Nah, dude, I don't give a shit what he just did. I'm good."
I felt my back was rounding right there. I'm like, I didn't see your back move at all, Blair. And he's like, nope, it was about to.
Felt the
though.
vertebrae.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Arturo would come in and destroy himself with a 15-second
Yeah.
What a nut.
deadlift. From
I
his
don't know
best.
what's up with Arturo. He's like, one day he'd walk in and just be good for nothing. And then the next day he'd come in and just kick the crap out of everybody in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, I bet you're going to out deadlift Mark right now.
like
Yeah.
15
He was
reps,
good. Yeah.
405.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that legendary day. The
Amazing.
day when he just went crazy that one day.
I think he's still recovering.
yeah.
He hasn't been back since.
No.
Fried his nervous system permanently.
CNS is jacked up.
but like that's the only thing that I worry about with CrossFit, because it's so young and like people will train and push hard, and like Ben's inspired me a lot to do more than I think I could actually do.
That's sweet.
Is we don't really have a good data base of what it's going to look like. Like Rich I'll tell you, Rich trains more than any person in CrossFit, and it's not an accident that he's better than everybody because he trains more. But I don't know what the hell that's going to do to his body. Like, what is going to happen as Ben starts doing squats? Like, what's going to happen when he's 35?
Yeah.
Like, I'm 33. I've been doing CrossFit competitively since 2008. And, my body still feels pretty good. But I have probably done half the CrossFit that Rich has done.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. Yeah, it seems like he kind of breezes through it, though. It seems like he's not always kind of like your style, where he's not always in the gym. It looks like he's out in his ranch and he's like running through. I don't know if that's just like rogue video or whatever, but it seems like he's doing a little bit more than just lifting and stuff.
In the Bahamas last year, like the Bahamas, a pimp resort in the Bahamas. That dude was at the gym, at the gym on campus of the resort 3 times a day.
So he's a meathead.
unbelievable.
That's awesome.
God.
Well, the thing is, like Blair.
Like, oh, where's Rich? Like, you want to go? Like, we're gonna go swim, hang out. Like, no, he's doing like 21:59, 185 thrusters and like muscle ups.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he loves all of it. I see him doing like floor presses and just regular powerlifting movements and all kinds of different stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is like Blair mentions the what's he going to feel like later, and I've thought about that argument before too. I mean, you look at something that's like a machine that's designed to make red cups. Eventually, even though it was designed for that with precision and whatever, it's greased and has the springs and whatever, and it makes red cups. Eventually, you have to replace parts, right? And the machine's going to break down. It was made for that, and it's going to break down. The difference with our body is we could squat, and you're like, hey, you know what? You only have so many squats in those hips or those knees or whatever. But the difference is our body regenerates, right, when we sleep. So there is a difference in that. And it's like, at what point is regeneration not fast enough and you start to really break your body down? And so
then you got to periodize.
Right.
And you got to take deload weeks, right? And if you want to be on the safer side of that. And for some athletes and for the competitors at the top level, they are willing to ride the line the other way.
Yeah.
Right.
And what Kelly always says about this is one of the reasons why Rich can do that is he moves
almost
practically perfectly.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have a lot of inefficiency where his knee is taking too much shearing force.
Well, how the heck does Kalipa do it then?
Jay
doesn't move perfect.
No, Jay does not move
and
perfect.
he'd be willing to admit that. He doesn't move very
workhorse.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he's banged up and hurting.
Well, and you don't know it, right? So I think that we'll know a lot about CrossFit in the next 10 years. Like when this crop of athletes is pushing that
I'd also
age
say
line.
being in shape though, it really changes things. When you're conditioned, they talk about head trauma in the NFL. A lot of these guys are ended up with head trauma because they're not in shape. Like people aren't ever talking about that, but you're in a bad position in the first place because you shouldn't have been there because you're too slow. And because it's the fourth quarter, it's like a lot of these things are happening. A lot of people are getting teed off on when they're tired.
Right.
They got hit by a couple previous shots, or they're fatigued from a previous round, or whatever it might be, and now they're in a bad spot.
That's a great point. I've never heard anybody say that. But
with Rich, I mean,
he didn't go to Ivy League.
His engine's different, so he's just playing with a different set of rules. He's a different set of cards, and at least he did move on to the team stuff. Right. Kind of moved aside, let somebody else win.
Well, I think that point is almost something against CrossFit, right? So if these guys are getting hurt when they're tired, our sport's designed to make you tired.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to do a heavy squat clean or a heavy snatch, right, and you drop a barbell on your head, you didn't do it when you were fresh and you felt like it was easy. You did it when you were tired.
Right.
But that's the competition side of CrossFit, not the workout side of CrossFit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously you're going to be fatigued when you work out,
it,
but you're not going to have your class run 5 miles and then max snatch.
No, like
that's not smart for your class. But at the games, you might have to.
Easy Muhammad went for like a 275 snatch, and he dropped the bar, and it kind of glanced his head, and he fell backwards. In my gym, I'd have somebody shut it down. Like, you cannot dig another one. Easy Muhammad steps back up to the bar and nails it, and I'm on my feet, like screaming and yelling. You know what I mean? It's the awesomest thing ever.
Right. But what Mike's saying is that is an important distinction to make. Is like people get hurt in CrossFit a lot because they're trying to, be tough. Right. They're trying to not give in. And you see a lot of people that are not moving perfectly in your gym day to day. They're not Rich Froning. They're not these elite athletes that have good flexibility. They sit at a desk 40 hours a day. And their rotator cuffs are ready to tear. So then they try to do a kipping pull-up when they're 30 minutes into a workout, and boom, there it goes.
Well, it's the same as other sports, right? There's shitty coaching. There's shitty athletes.
Right.
How many people sprain an ankle just playing basketball, whether it's pickup or competitive? Every single person on the planet.
Everybody.
And they're not shutting down basketball.
Right.
Well, actually, that brings up a good point because, bad coaching, bad programming is one of those things to rap against CrossFit. But how much of it is bad programming, and how much of it is poor choices on the basis of somebody who's a member of a CrossFit gym?
Well, I mean, those two. I don't think you can distinguish between the two. Sometimes, it's the bad programming, the bad coaching. You can let somebody who's got the best intentions in the world do something that they've never done before, and they could literally get hurt the first time out of the gate doing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then you have somebody who maybe is a little bit headstrong, or they're the young guy and they want to try to become that next mutant, that next freak.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they do something bad. So I think that coaching and programming influence has to be there.
I would say it's 80% on the coach, 20% on the athlete. Okay. Most people, if you establish
more like 79-21, but I don't want to split hairs.
If you establish the roles appropriately when someone comes into a gym and say you're going to do what I tell you to do, right? Or you're not going to train here, then they'll do it. if you take the, hey, this is like a thruster, it kind of looks like this, then that's still the coach's fault when that person gets hurt. And then some people are just like, they're strong-headed, they're going to be ignorant, and they're not going to listen. That's just the 20%.
Yeah, my wife a couple of years ago had a bunch of friends, like she works at the med center, nurses doing CrossFit, husband, wife, all this stuff, and then like I think none of them are doing it now because of injuries.
Right.
And like I don't know which CrossFit they were going to. I don't know what they were told to do or whatever, but clearly whatever it was, they couldn't sustain it.
If there was weightlifting classes with one coach and 15, 20 people, or powerlifting classes with 1 and 15 people, there's going to be injuries. If you go to a powerlifting meet, there's going to be turnt backs and cat back deadlifts and
everything you do that's new. There's going to be pain, and there's going to be some. You're going to be uncomfortable.
One of the highest injuries is like long distance running, right? Those people always have fucked up knees.
Downhill
skiing fucks people up too.
So, I mean, the thing that frustrates me the most about the idea that CrossFit injures people is that these injuries that they're getting, like not everyone, but 9 out of 10 injuries, it's an injury waiting to happen. Right. And this person is ready to be injured, and they could have done it like doing whatever.
But on the treadmill.
Right. They're just like, they're in such bad shape that they come into a CrossFit gym to get into shape, and they're like, the coaching isn't good enough to evaluate this person and say, you need to stretch first.
You got a fix for that?
Like, it didn't matter if you put your foot on the gas downhill skiing or you did it here in my gym. You were about ready to blow your ACL.
You're gonna pop.
You're a bad mover.
What do you two think on that? Like, how do you fix that?
Assessment or something?
You said earlier, Ben, that it was super easy to open a gym. Relatively.
No, it's easy.
And so then they popped up, market got, fucking saturated and all that. Well, how do you fix the shitty coaching, or how do you fix the injuries? Is that from the top down? Is that it's kind of sucks if it's only gym responsibility when an 18-year-old kid can open a gym.
Well, yeah.
Whether it be 24-hour fitness Gold's gym or a CrossFit gym. It doesn't matter. It's just a gym.
Well, I could back up even further, right? So as CrossFit has become much more influential, I think there's going to be people who move better and better. Right. I think that you're going to see that from the youngest. Like, my son already knows. He's like, he told me the other day, he's like, man, Dad, when I squat, my toes, they turn out too much. Right. And he knows.
Yeah. They're watching YouTube.
Education.
Yeah. The education piece is going up. So that's helpful. Right. And that's going to force the coaches in the area or in CrossFit or in weightlifting, to be honest, with this kind of open source information that's out there is all the time. Like, people can get programming and information from anywhere. Like, it's going to force the coaches like Blair and myself, or even you guys in powerlifting, it's going to force us to be better, right? It's going to force us to make the hard calls to be like, hey, you need to shut it down right now.
I think there's a couple things that, if you walked into a CrossFit gym, you could tell right away if it's going to be a good, safe situation or not. So
don't
this
do
is
it,
just
Mike.
my opinion.
Don't do it, Mike.
But number one, like, going to a gym that is new or struggling for members is going to be a little bit dicey, because they're going to want you to be happy, and they're going to let you do whatever you want to do to make you pay your membership, right? The second thing is, if you walk into a gym and they put you right into a regular class, don't do it. That's a bad sign. You should be if you're not someone who is training regularly or doing CrossFit regularly, you should not be going right into a CrossFit class. You should be going into a on-ramp class or a boot camp class, something that is very little weightlifting with intensity, right? So we talk about, it's one thing to do a squat when you're fresh, and it's a whole nother thing to do a squat and brace internally with your back when you're tired. So, I mean, either a mandatory, most gyms either have like a month or 2 weeks or some sort of a on-ramp process where you get to ramp up slowly what it's like to be breathing hard and moving. At our gym, there's no like lifetime on that. You're going to be there until you look good.
Yeah, you have a judgment call.
Yeah, like I tell you, okay, you're ready to move up. And if not, you stay there. And the workouts are still fucking hard. You're really working hard. It's
just maybe a little simpler.
Yeah, there's just no weightlifting. It's all body weight. It's really hard for people to hurt themselves doing body weight.
There's two sports that people don't do when they're old. And one is Olympic lifting, and the other one is gymnastics. Yeah. And those are big parts of CrossFit. So it's like,
a good point.
If you not eliminate, but if you limit those two at least a little bit in the beginning, for most people, I would say they'd probably be fine.
Yeah. Power lifts,
those are
body weight.
Hey, we're going to run. We're
Right?
going to do burpees. We're going to do, obviously you're going to have to judge the person when they come through the door. And
Mark just judged every old person in the world.
Yeah, you do not do this when you're this age.
That's true, though.
Well, Olympic lifting, you don't see people like, that are 55.
Yeah, very
like, hey,
few.
man, can't wait to go to my, but at 55, 60 years old, there's plenty of people doing powerlifting.
For sure.
Powerlifting's a slower
Running,
sport. It's more deliberate.
cycling.
You can really pay attention to
Lower impact sports, less explosive.
Less explosive. I mean, you see guys who...
Did you just call us unexplosive?
You're not explosive.
We have explosive diarrhea.
Explosive diarrhea. Lose 50 calories per fart or whatever.
It smells like
57.
explosive diarrhea in here.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry about that.
Well, to Mark's, he made
Lentil
this
soup.
point, like, you don't Olympic lift, you don't gymnastics, you don't do high-level gymnastics when you're 50 years old. If you eliminate those, you'll probably be pretty good. And that's kind of a little bit more of the role that my gym takes, or the way that my gym goes. We don't have an on-ramp anymore. So we spend a lot of time with our new people in classes, and we eliminate things that they can't do.
Right.
And we basically take it down to an on-ramp style and let them learn as they go. So that sometimes for some people, they're like, man, I really would like a little bit more instruction. And for that reason, people can meet with a coach. Right. They can get personal training. But, I mean, for the most part, most of our people, they jump right into classes, but they're heavily modified. So that's the way we go with our classes.
Pretty cool. What else we got? Anything else?
I don't know.
I was reading the back of this Jesus thing.
Yeah, what'd you learn?
I didn't really learn anything, but it's just like such a succinct, summary of who Jesus was. So
why don't you tell us about it there,
Who
everybody?
is Jesus?
I mean, I could read it to you, but I don't know if I can tell you. I mean, I think everybody kind of knows who Jesus is, and it's just a matter if you like him or not. So there you go. Obviously,
And how you want to pose him.
yeah, I know. I'm like, this thing's really bendable. I can open this thing. It says ages 3+.
Yeah.
You qualify.
I think my little girls are only 2. I'm like, they couldn't play with this?
Ben, how does
on
religion,
Jesus?
play in your life? I know that you're very religious.
Yeah.
You're raising your kids to be that way as well. Your wife is very religious, kind of a family thing. Was that a decision that you made as like a young adult, or was it something you were kind of born into, or?
Yeah, no, for me, I wasn't born into like a religious home. My dad had actually, when he was in the Navy, like a lot of guys go through like these different iterations in their life where if, they went to prison, they heard from like a preacher in prison and they're like, yeah, they're, a Bible thumper in prison, they get out and they're back on drugs or whatever.
Right.
But, in the military, it's sometimes the same thing. Guys kind of like are on a ship or something like that, and they're all in tight quarters, and guys need to find some way to have some sort of community and believe in something bigger. And I think that's like a little bit more of a, you're more slanted towards that when you're in those environments.
Right.
So for
They
my
say
dad,
there's no atheist in a foxhole. You ever heard that before?
yeah, there's no atheist in a foxhole.
People
and
are always praying to God
Right.
when they're on their deathbed, right?
I guarantee that's true. You know what I mean? I guarantee that's true. There's nobody cursing God at that point.
Looking for any help they can get.
Yeah, they're wanting some sort of help. And I think that speaks to the simple fact that I think that we were designed and created for something bigger. It's because that, and when we're in our rawest instinct, that we all kind of cry out, even if we don't have like some sort of
Makes sense.
Jesus doll. You know what I mean? Like we're looking for something a little bit bigger than us because we realize I'm at the end of my rope. I got nothing. I need something more than me. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, my dad, he kind of like he had this faith in the Navy and then went dormant. And then like I was like 12, I think. And my dad was like, I started getting all religious again. So I was like, okay. And he shared the Bible with me, and I was like, okay. Then I started getting religious, and then probably when I was not even really all that long ago, to be honest, about 5 or 6 years ago, went through some crazy stuff in my own life, and that's when God got really, really super real to me. And but for me, yeah, my family is very, I'll say religious, but we're Christians. You know what I mean? Like we believe in the Bible. Like I don't care if you go to a different church than me. Like if you can just, the Bible.
It's a little bit more than being religious. It's just being good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like
and
Not having a bad heart.
not having a bad heart. Yeah. My son said that the other day. For me, it's easy for me to wear my religion on my sleeve, where it is not so easy for some others, because when other people get around, let's just say, what do you use a term for a non-Christian? Maybe it's just non-Christian people who aren't religious. They have a hard time because they expect that non-religious person to act like them.
we'll just call them people that are heading towards hell.
Yeah, right. Yeah, these evil
Heathens.
sinners, right? These heathens, right? Yeah, the people expect people who aren't Christians to act like Christians. So when their friend who isn't a Christian moves in with their boyfriend or girlfriend, they get really upset and they're like, "Hey, man, you can't do that," And it's like, bro, that person is not a Christian, so you can't impose your Christian values on that person. Right,
but we still place a lot of judgment on Blair, right?
He's so skinny, like he's so skinny, man.
My heart is good.
Yeah, his heart is good,
And I don't like a lot of the decisions he makes. I mean, shit.
I agree.
Those sunglasses.
I agree. He's went with them. He's rolling with them this
It's
whole
kind
time.
of dark in here. I feel uncomfortable wearing them, but like it's too. I've gone too far.
We've gone too far. Can't take them off now. No. So anyway, that's for me. It's like it makes it very easy for me to walk into a room full of heathens, right? And then also walk into a church and maybe lead a Bible study,
right?
You know.
It's cool, and it's when you're that upfront about it, it lets everybody know, like, hey, like I'm not into certain things. Like you might not be, you don't drink, I don't think, right? Or,
not much,
right?
Not much. I do have a glass of wine or two a week, but there are some Christians actually who.
No, that's not much of a Christian thing.
No, people
There's
look at me and be like, dude,
party.
you cannot drink. Like some people think it's really, really bad, and for certain reasons, sometimes I agree with them, and
right.
But it's.
But that's maybe just changes your judgment or changes your perception of what you're acting
choices,
like, not actual alcohol.
Exactly.
Because that's not a Christian thing.
Right.
Well, I just think you make other people aware of it, and they're going to kind of know what
it changes
you're about.
the way I talk. It changes the way music I listen to. It changes what I drink or don't drink. The places I go or I don't go. The environments I put myself in. There are certain parties or club scenes when I'm traveling for competitions and whatnot that I just don't go because I know that. I mean, as much as I'm like, oh yeah, Jesus this and the Bible. Dude, I put myself in a bad place, I'm going to do bad things because I'm just a person.
It makes sense. You're just trying to curtail some of that stuff, keep it out of your life, basically.
Yeah, cut it off before it becomes a problem.
So you guys have a podcast that actually does pretty well.
Oh, yeah, you checking up on us?
Yeah, checking up on you a little bit. So to me, like what you guys have going on is great because you compete, you have gyms, and you have families, and you talk about all of it. Mm-hmm. And you bring other people in who have, maybe not exactly the same background as you, but you have common ground to talk about. But I think that like makes you unique at least among the CrossFit podcasts and gym owner podcasts, is most people are not dealing with all of those things and trying to balance and honest about it, really. Right. So I really appreciate it. You guys have new episodes every Tuesday?
Tuesday, typically.
Yeah.
So, I think with our podcast, like, we have a lot of different things that we're going through, and we do talk about them all. And on top of that, people wonder how I can be good friends with Blair Morrison. And so I can help people who have friendship issues. So it's a very multifaceted podcast. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we dig deep.
Yeah, very deep.
So we have episodes come out once a week.
What's it called?
It's called Beyond the Barbell.
People are talking about it, but they can't even find it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Beyond the Barbell. You can find it on iTunes. And on Instagram, of course. But when Ben actually approached me to start it, a little over a year ago now. It's kind of crazy.
That was the other good idea I had. So the one was on this podcast, and then there was one like about a year ago.
Before that, okay.
Yeah.
And because there wasn't any CrossFit podcasts out there from athletes talking about what it's like to train, but also be a normal person. And it wasn't. So our podcast wasn't necessarily about purely the training side of things, but it was about also, like you said, running a business, having a family. And then also just being a regular person, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there from the CrossFit community about what it's like to be an actual CrossFit athlete that you see on TV. And it's not. There's not a lot of money, like we talked about before, and it's not as glamorous as it may appear. I think with the rise of social media, things have the gap between perception and reality has really widened.
Yeah, everybody's a rock star.
Yeah, and it's like it's all about likes and comments and it doesn't.
I agree.
It's like tinting the photos to make them look even better than they are. It's like, we're all stuck in that world and we have to kind of live with it. But it makes us, our podcast hopefully is, like you said, it's a little more real. When we talk to people, we talk to them about what their lives are actually like.
Yeah, we've done everything from talking to Kalipa to Sam Briggs to China Cho,
Mr. Faber.
Uriah Faber.
Faber.
Yep. Outside of CrossFit, we've talked to NFL players now, and then we do basic things like talk to, we talk to our listeners about how to find a good gym.
Right.
What makes a good gym in the area? How do you do that? Like we were talking about a little bit the programming thing. If somebody wants a really in-depth breakdown of like how to find a good gym in the CrossFit community, they can go back and listen to one of our episodes. So we really try to be coaches, dads, friends of and high-level competitors all at the same time, because we feel like there's a lot of people in the CrossFit community really trying to juggle all those different things.
Right.
Yeah, and then every once in a while we'll bring on a meathead like Mark.
Let's talk about steroids.
Mike, talk about steroids.
Because people want to know.
People want to know.
People want to know. So we find the best guests so we can talk about the best things.
Like, where do they really get that powder?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
Yeah.
Sweet potato steroids.
I tell you what, I've been buying a lot of sweet potatoes lately. I don't know how to make the powder, but I figure if I just eat a lot of sweet potatoes,
Yeah,
it's about the same
battery
thing.
acid and sweet potatoes.
Oh, okay, perfect.
It's going right to your traps.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some D's and just eat them.
Yo, when we talked to Uriah, he's like, he had some questions for you about, not that because he wants to use, he's like a super clean athlete, but he's like, what are the side effects that you have experienced from? That's what he was wanting to know.
He's like, yeah, I would want to talk to this guy.
I don't know, man.
You better get Uriah on the show.
There's some side effects, but they're you don't know.
A little bit less for dudes and chicks.
You pick and choose what you want to live with, and whatever.
What's the side effect? I got super jacked.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I'm handsome. I'm rich. I'm tan.
I'm super strong.
Yeah, exactly.
I started taking steroids. I drove a nice car. I don't know.
My sex appeal's off the chart.
Right. Okay. Well, where are they at? That's really why I showed up today.
That's it. We're going to get you guys on right after this show.
Okay.
Yep.
There
You get a gift package every time you come on the podcast. Put your trend on your way out.
Right. Next time I come, I'll be 210.
What I always point out to people is that a lot of times the side effects happen when you come off of them, and I think that a lot of people don't really understand that. The side effects aren't really going on. There's some side effects, obviously. There's effects and side effects going on while you're taking them, but when you come off them is when you kind of end up with, in my opinion, more issues, or at least that's been my experience. Things like acne and shit like that. You get bigger, you can get bloated.
The worst side effect ever, getting bigger.
Some people will get moody. I don't really have a ton of issue with that, although I'm sure my mood is swung somewhat way by it, tiny bit maybe, but not any more than crashing off a cup of coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody experiences different things, and I would say I always tell people that it is a drug. They are illegal, and you do need to be cautious with it, and do need to read up on them. There's a lot of information on the interwebs for all that good stuff. I think that's all the time we got for you guys today. Either one of you guys have anything coming up, any events or anything you want to plug, other than your butt plug?
No, I know that both Blair and I are taking a team from our respective gyms to Wadapalooza.
That's right. In Miami.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Philippa says this is the best competition ever, beats the CrossFit Games.
What's it, Miami? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he said
somebody-
Wadapalooza's pretty
It's
cool.
the most fun.
Is Rick Ross there?
Oh,
He was there last year.
I
He
know.
was, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I need to go.
Rick Ross showed up with his whole posse and walked right in front of
So
everybody in the
sick.
stands, crossed the competition floor, and then sat on a separate set of seats that they pulled out just for him.
And guess who got
Amazing.
mad at him? No one.
Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah, I got a nice little selfie with Rick Ross.
You almost said something. You were like, never mind.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Rose.
Never mind. Mr. Rose.
Can I get you anything, sir?
Yeah, so Ben and I are both going to be in Miami this year for that. And then, I don't know, what else are we doing?
I feel like the real story behind that is, honestly, like Blair's gym and his philosophies and his athletes have gotten the better of Iron Mile for a while.
Uh-oh.
I feel like in some things, you just have to acknowledge reality. Like
He's been whooping your ass for the last couple of years.
in the they qualify a team to regionals. We've never done that. Blair's been to the games. I've never done that. Right. So there's a lot of things, and so we're gonna go to Wadapalooza.
Tension is really building.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not really competing for the top spot.
I'm going to start my own podcast.
We're just trying to compete against Ben's gym.
Yeah, we're really like, okay, we cannot lose to anywhere again, right? And so we're training really hard. When my guys are getting really tired in training, I'm just like, Blair probably picked that up. There's gonna be an ocean swim that we have to overcome because they're gonna win that no matter how much we train in the next 2 months. Like they're gonna win the ocean swim, right? So I'm like, you got to pick up that heavy barbell again. And they're like, my hands are bleeding. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
I'm sure you guys get this as well when you go to competitions. Like you were down at Burdick's a couple weeks ago, but like I look forward to these types of competitions because of the friendships that I've built and that Ben and I have built over the last 5 to 7 years of competing, and we get to see those people once or twice a year, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then so like the fact that we can talk shit back and forth about our teams in the competition, that's what I look forward to more than anything. The actual competition, like when you're actually on the floor. Like that sucks all the time. Like CrossFit sucks all the time when you're doing it, and then afterwards it's like really fun. Like, we all did that, yay! We didn't die.
Yeah, last year the team was me, was Blair, Gabe Subri, and I. And so that was a really, really fun time.
That was really
cool. We went out there and we weren't competitive necessarily, but we were competing with each.
We took 8th, right?
Yeah, we were competitive with ourselves in a sense. Like, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we hang with these guys? And that's a lot of fun. And this year we, take our own teams.
That's cool.
And I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, you and Charlie Zamora, right? Yeah, right.
Where can people find you guys?
My Instagram is Morrison_Blair. Same on Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter.
Yeah, and if you guys want to look for me, just go to @Jesus on Instagram, and you guys can find some inspirational stuff
tell
there.
Rick Ross about Jesus.
Yeah. I would if you gave me a chance.
Excuse me, Mr. Rick.
Yeah,
and then you guys can also follow our podcast at BTB Podcast, and then at btbpodcast.com as well.
Yeah, and then if you want more inspirational quotes, @Bible on Instagram.
That's your second page.
Yeah, I don't run those accounts. I'm just kidding, but there are some good stuff on there.
Yeah, people are going to look at it now.
@IronMileBen if you want to follow me.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. _Ben.
Watch Ben lift heavy shit.
Yeah, that happens
And his
a lot.
kids.
And my kids lift heavy
His
too.
kids have large heads just like him.
Yeah, we were comparing flat spots on mine and Mason's head. You know,
I love the shirtless pics in the house all the time, or like they're like in their undies or something. It's hilarious.
I know.
Like, what is going on?
They're my best workout partners, man. I'm telling you.
Everyone's just like all on top of each other and like jumping on each other.
You try to beat a kid who's like 4 foot tall at a burpee workout, who's got a little bit of an
Smashing
engine.
you.
That's
it's
tough.
not fun.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Wow, I never thought about that. He's just down. He's already down there. He's already in
Exactly.
position.
It's like the Ed Cohn deadlift situation, right? You know, he breaks at the hip and he's already got the barbell in his hands.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well,
Wow.
I can see how you do this now.
What a cheater.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all the time we got for today. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle, and may all your shits be tapered. I'm at Mark Smelly Bell on Instagram and Twitter.
Boom.
Matt Silent Mike, Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Jim McD, STTV, everywhere that I would want you to find me. Follow the show on Instagram at Mark Bell's PowerCast, Facebook.com/SuperTrainingGym, Twitter and Periscope at SGGymSack.
Thanks to all our sponsors, 8-Man Strong for taking care of us, all the powerlifting gear you want. Compex USA, stim machines, fixed my shoulder, fixed my life. They also feel good on your butt. Caveman Coffee and Rogue Fitness for the barbells that I lift all the time. And howmuchyoubench.net. And Jesus Christ, figurines.com.
Mark Bell's PowerCast is a production of supertraining.com.